On television, dancing competitions always look glitzy and glamorous. But behind the scenes is a totally different story. There are parents whose kids partake in dance classes, and then there are the dance moms. These parents are willing to do anything to win, no matter the costs. Before we get to the darker side of dance moms, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications for more from the taco. Let's begin. Lawsuits. No matter what recreational activity you engage in, there are bound to be moments of drama between participants from time to time. But sometimes on Dance Moms, this drama ends up with a lawsuit being filed. In 2014, dance mom Kelly Hyland filed a lawsuit against Abby Lee Miller and levied some pretty serious accusations. Miller has a reputation on the show for being a bit of a bully, and Hyland claimed she physically attacked her during a rehearsal in New York City. It's sadly not unusual to see these moms verbally sparring with one another, but this time it came to blows. Hyland claimed Miller attempted to bite her, and she was forced to slap her in order to defend herself. Instead of being horrified by this dance mom brawl, producers insisted Hyland get on a flight, which resulted in a warrant being put out for her arrest. Although Hyland sought $5 million in damages, the suit was ultimately dismissed because of a lack of evidence. She tried to sue the show for cultivating this toxic situation, but the ironclad contract she had signed with them caused the case to be dismissed. Although that was a particularly vicious brawl, it's far from the only one, or the only lawsuit. Risque. While child dance contests and beauty pageants have many fans, others believe they can be exploitative. Dancing typically gets less attention for this than pageants, but it's not immune to such accusations, and sometimes they're definitely warranted. Even Abby Lee Miller claimed this particular dance number was taking it right to the limit. One dance routine was done in the style of a burlesque fan dance, and we probably don't need to explain why this was problematic. The dance would be performed by girls ranging in ages from 8 to 13, who would be wearing nude leotards under their more colorful costumes. If just the thought of that made you cringe, you're not alone. The girls were uncomfortable but committed to the routine. Shockingly, Lifetime was not only okay with this, but titled the episode Topless Showgirls. Their fans were horrified, and with good reason. We understand that reality TV has to constantly be pushing the envelope, but this was way too far however you look at it. Lifetime eventually pulled the episode, removing it from both syndication and streaming services, and omitting it from the DVD. Shockingly, Miller defended the dance number, claiming that everything was harmless. Producers. It's no secret that people love watching drama unfold on reality TV. Hey, we all have our own guilty pleasures. But some people believe that the producers on Dance Moms go way too far in order to create tension-filled and controversial moments on the show. Abby Lee Miller herself once spoke out about this and claimed she was forced to advocate for herself and her dancers frequently. During one occasion, she said she had to put her foot down when producers suggested a particularly scandalous dance number. And remember, Miller once okayed her students performing in a burlesque number. According to Miller, the producers wanted to have one of the kids pretend to be pregnant during a dance. This would require the child to wear a prosthetic baby bump, and we don't blame you for cringing at the idea. Miller claims she refused to participate and would do anything possible to protect her girls. When someone like Abby Lee Miller is the voice of reason, you know things have gone off the rails. This happened during season 6, when many fans noticed Miller was missing from several episodes. But in addition to arguing with the producers, there was something even more serious going on behind the scenes. Fraud. In 2017, Miller announced this was the end of her time on Dance Moms. She posted a statement on Instagram and spun her own narrative about the situation. She claimed that she had an issue with the producers and seemed to imply there was some sexism at work. We don't doubt this was true to some extent given what we know about the show, but there was a lot more going on in this situation. Back in 2015, Miller was indicted for fraud, and this was a serious charge. Apparently, she had maintained a secret bank account for an extended period of time in order to hide her income from various sources. All in all, she was charged with 20 counts of bankruptcy fraud, concealment of bankruptcy assets, and false bankruptcy declarations. Apparently, Miller had managed to hide about $755,000 from the IRS, and that's the sort of thing they don't take kindly to. She pleaded not guilty, and the case was delayed for a long time. Eventually, she entered a guilty plea and was sentenced to a year and a day in prison. She was released in March 2018, and her first 2 years of freedom will be carefully supervised. Staged. We all know some things have been staged when we watch reality TV. Scenes are shot again with better lighting or more dramatic responses, and producers are desperate to capture interesting situations. But several cast members on the show have spoken out, claiming that the producers of Dance Moms interfered way too much. According to Kalani Hilliker, the walkout during the season 5 finale was completely fake. Apparently, Hilliker was told she won first place in the duo-trio category, but there was one problem with this. She did not compete in one. The walkout was due to Hilliker feeling this was unprofessional, but the producers made it look as though Miller orchestrated the whole thing. Maddie Ziegler has complained about the show being fake. While she just wanted to dance, she had to deal with tears and drama being orchestrated by the producers. Once the cameras stopped rolling, the moms would usually stop crying and start laughing immediately. Even though the fighting was often fake, the emotional toll of it was very real. The constant manufactured bickering eventually took its toll on the members of the cast. Many kids, like Maddie Ziegler, just wanted to dance, but that isn't what the audiences of Dance Moms wanted to see. Rehearsed. Participating in a dance competition can be grueling. In addition to the hours and hours of prep time and practicing, kids can expect to spend 9 hours at the competition itself. Naturally, compressing 9 hours of footage into a 40-minute-long episode of Dance Moms isn't easy, but in the effort to make things appealing for the show, producers have created a completely artificial environment. Audience members are forced to rehearse their reactions to dancers before they even show up to perform. Other parents and family members aren't even allowed to walk down the hallways in case they interfere with the cast of Dance Moms arguing with one another. And of course, because there are cameras and crew members absolutely everywhere, it's a very artificial environment overall. When it comes to the dancing part of the competition, Miller's students are often forced to complete each dance number multiple times. This gives the camera operators opportunities to film them at more angles and catch more potential mistakes. In comparison, the rest of the contestants only have one chance to get their dance number exactly right. At this point, the competitions are not about simply dancing at all, and that's painfully obvious to those in attendance. Criminal. Abby Lee Miller's fraud charges may have come as a surprise to some, but she isn't the only cast member with a criminal past. Around the same time Miller was funneling money into hidden bank accounts, we heard that Kira Gerard had been in trouble with the law as well. Tracy Reasons made some scandalous accusations, but they weren't just done for the benefit of the camera. Back in 2005, Kira Gerard was known as Kira Salazar, and she was heavily involved in serious fraud. She would sell HD televisions on eBay and refuse to send the TVs once she had the money. Not only is this a scam, it's not a very good one. It's hard to imagine how she thought she could get away with the $15,525 she pocketed during this scheme. At first, she tried to blame her boyfriend, but she was videotaped depositing some of the checks. Although her boyfriend wasn't totally innocent, since he was later arrested for drug paraphernalia. Kira Gerard ended up being sentenced to pay $6,000 in fines and spend 2 years on probation. This sentence ended up being extended because she never showed up for her scheduled community service. Priorities. Abby Lee Miller set out to create an empire with Dance Moms, and that was clear from the very beginning. She first came up with the concept in 2008, and the idea was very different than what the show ended up being. Miller wanted to follow the careers of 5 different mothers and their daughters from 5 different cities. But as soon as casting began, Miller realized she didn't have to go far in order to find the crazy she wanted. Pittsburgh provided her with plenty of this, and then some. The children are the ones doing the dancing, but they weren't a consideration during the casting process. Instead, Miller made sure to select the most dramatic, high-conflict parents possible, and then brought their kids along for the ride. Miller hoped that Dance Moms would be a success, of course, but she wanted to parlay it into an empire. She planned on everything from dolls to dancewear could be sold with the Dance Moms logo on it. In order to build her brand, she occasionally had kids who aren't associated with ALDC perform on the show. These included Mackenzie Ziegler and Kalani Hilliker, who were trained by different studios. Stress. While we often see parents behaving badly on Dance Moms, we assume the kids are having fun for the most part. But even the most famous kids on the show admit it was an excruciatingly stressful time. Maddie Ziegler was a fan favorite and the prodigy of Abby Lee Miller, but she admits she can't even stand to watch old episodes of Dance Moms because she remembers all of the drama all too well. Although she loves to dance, she admits she was frequently under an immense amount of stress, which she felt was especially inappropriate given her young age. And this isn't just an issue with the cast of Dance Moms, but with such competitions in general. These competitions are all for profit, and there is serious money to be made. This creates a situation which is potentially troublesome for the children competing. Jared Grimes is a tap dancer, competition judge, and dance instructor who has seen it all over the years. He claims the kids who compete are like gladiators, and that there is far more than the art of dance at play here. Backstage at dancing competitions is full of mind games, politics, and backstabbing. This sort of environment can be stressful and toxic to adults, let alone children who just want to dance. Toxicity. Chloe Lucasiak and her mother Christy were members of the Dance Moms cast since the very beginning. They appeared on the show for the first 4 seasons, before abruptly announcing they would not be returning for a 5th season. Unsurprisingly, their departure had nothing to do with Chloe or her dancing ability. The problem was between Abby Lee Miller and Chloe's mother Christy. Apparently, Christy felt Miller did not do enough to help Chloe excel, and instead focused too much of her attention on Maddie Ziegler. If you're guessing these two adults handled the issue in a calm and constructive way, you must not be a fan of Dance Moms. The two women began to argue constantly, and Christy claims Miller's behavior got progressively worse. Eventually, Miller even made fun of the way Chloe looks, and Christy realized things had gone way too far. She decided it was time she and Chloe parted ways with Miller, but this wouldn't last. As we all know, Chloe ended up returning to the show for season 7. According to the mother and daughter pair, they didn't feel as if their story was finished and wanted to finish out another season on the show. What do you think about the show Dance Moms? Is it just some entertaining reality TV, or is airing it irresponsible? Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and then click on the subscribe button for more from the taco. Bye for now.